Recording. Hey everybody, welcome to Power Hour with the dynamic duo of Tiger and Ronster. This week we're going to be talking about the very last open men's pro bodybuilding show for 2025. That's the Bigman Weekend Pro happening in Alicante, Spain. We're going to talk about Shaun Clarida, who won the Japan Pro and is now qualified for both the Mr. Olympia next year and the 212 Olympia. And then we're going to get into shite, as they say over there, shit contest lighting. Why is this allowed? What can be done about it? Because we've seen some horrible examples. So now, without any further ado, Giles Tiger Thomas. What's up, Giles?
I'm doing bloody well, Ron. It was snowing here a few days ago, but it looks like it's like middle of summer now, but it's just still very, very cold. A typical British, aren't I? Just talking about the weather.
So I want to get into the Bigman Weekend, and the first person I want to talk about is not on the list, and I'm smacking myself in the head wondering why. This is Yoan, and I've got the correct pronunciation according to AI because we know ChatGPT is never wrong. So if that's how they say it's pronounced, Yoan, that's how you pronounce it. So Yoan Pradels, the young guy from Spain, he has done 5 shows this season. He was second place in Romania, in Poland. He was third place at the British Grand Prix and in Japan, and he was 5th place in Prague. So I figured he would finish off the season in his home country with what could be a win and a ticket to the Olympia for next year, but he's not on the list. And I messaged him, but he's got several zillion followers. So as you say, he might be like a Bumstead and not snubbing me, just hasn't seen my message. But why on earth would this guy not enter this show?
Ron, it doesn't make any sense because, like you said, he's Spanish. He competed in the M Pro last year, so it's not like he's maybe you've had like beef with Emilio, the promoter, or something. But there's, I've not heard anything, and Emilio gets on with everyone. So I don't understand why he chose to do Japan as his last show, because I'm guessing that he would have planned his shows, ahead of time. And the thing is, I think he maybe he didn't even expect this year to do as well as he has done, because he's had some, he's had a few seconds. And the thing is, like Sasan, Sasan was a guy that just kept on going and going until he got a qualification. And the thing is, I hate to say it, but this would be kind of like an easy win for him. If you look at his past results of the last few weeks, everyone he's beat handily. So why isn't he doing this one? I mean, and also getting that nice early qualification, and then he can build all the hype next year. It's I'm absolutely baffled. And I'm really, we were speaking before we started filming here, but is there any way that he can jump in he's probably flying back from Japan. I mean, he's probably home by now because it's Tuesday now, isn't it? Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why is is there any way that he can just, try and get himself on the list? Because what's it going to be? A quick flight, a quick drive, and he could be there getting qualification, winning, $10, $15, $20,000 and qualifying for next year's Olympia. I mean, I just don't get it, because I think this is his best chance of qualifying for the Olympia. And he should be seizing it and doing everything he can to get on that stage, because this is just madness.
Yeah, I looked at the list again this morning thinking, well, maybe it's updated. Maybe he's on the list. So as of about a half hour ago, as of about 4 p.m. in Spain time, he still wasn't on the list, and that's on Tuesday. So I don't know. I know it's either Monday or Tuesday at the very latest that anybody is allowed to enter a pro show for the following weekend. So maybe there's a glimmer of hope, maybe, because if so, he could, it's not easily win, because we got guys like Mark Hector, Pablo Lopez, Munoz,
he'd win.
Roberto Bueno. We got some guys that are good, but this was a great chance. And also Florian Poisson, we'll talk about Japan later, but Florian just took second to Shaun Clarida, and he's not on the list. I
don't know, guys. Are these young guys, do they need to get a bit of a shake? Because, surely this would have been the best option for him to do, because, like I said, nice early qualification. So I don't know what these guys are thinking. I don't know what's going through their mind. And the thing is, I was just thinking now as you were talking, he's not sick. It's not like his body was falling apart. I've done it where I've done 4 shows in a row, and by the third one, you just feel physically and mentally like you're just, and by the 4th one, I was dead. you know. So it's not, and he was kind of getting better as the shows were going on. So I don't know why he's because I think he's really going to regret this, because I think he's going to watch the lineup and think, shit, I really could have won that. So Johan, if you're watching this, mate, please just try and, just do whatever you can to get on that stage, because you are throwing away prize money, a qualification, and a chance to shut it down. And the thing is, he's got a big kind of online following, so you have all year to build all that hype for next year's Olympia. And the thing is, he's one guy that I think he's one of the new generation, like Vito, Urs, that are in their 20s that really, I was watching Bob Chick and Sean Ray, the Voice of Bodybuilding podcast, and I was listening. It's the first time I've actually watched it all the way through, actually. And they were saying, like, in 5 years' time, because Fuad said, in 5 years' time, I think this kid could be an Olympia champion. And I was thinking, actually, in 5 years' time, there's going to be no more Samson, because he said he wants to be done by the time he's 45. He's like 40 now. So, theoretically, guys like Samson, a lot of the top names are not going to be here in 5 years' time. So this is a guy that to be honest, as he was walking out there on that walkout video, he kind of reminded me of like a kind of where Jay Cutler was in 99 when he did his first Olympia. You can see that everything's there, all the glimmers of greatness are there. And look at him, he's holding his own there next to Andrew Jack, someone that many thought should have won the Olympia this year. So, and he's more than holding his own there in the side shots with Andrew. So good at such a young age. This is a guy that I think we would all love to see. And the thing is, he'd have a full year then to really, really focus on that back, because I saw him in Prague, and he from the front and the side, no one was blowing him away. But from the back, he definitely needs to level it up. And the thing is, a year off, like Urs, and like Vito, overall with his physique, a bit of time off, a good long off season, he could really bring those areas up. Bring his back up, and I think he could be competitive at next year's Olympia. Especially if he's got no other contest to worry about, and no other, no sort of concerns with qualifying. So this is madness, mate.
And the other guy, Florian Poisson from France, he looked fantastic. I think Clarida beat him on condition, but he's a big guy with really good shape, and I don't know why on earth he would not be doing this show. He's just competed Sunday, 2 days ago.
What is it? Are they just eating too much sushi in Japan or something, and they've just gone a bit crazy? Or I think maybe, because Japan's a country that I think a lot of people would love to go to, but would never have a reason to go there. It's not somewhere you'll ever go on holiday. But I think if you were there as a competitor and a young guy like these guys, they probably have booked a few days. It's probably somewhere where you wouldn't want to just jump on a plane and come straight home the next day and get back on prep. Maybe it's somewhere that, but if I had even a few days or a hotel or something booked and I had stuff arranged, I'd be, and I did this well in the Japan show, I'd be cutting it short. I would be cutting it short, and I'd be getting my ass home and getting on that stage in Spain. But Florian, mate, I told you about Florian, mate. He's been somebody I've been watching for a few years, and it was like Joe Sema, because he did well in the Open. He turned pro at the Portugal show, the Amateur Olympia, and then he went and got fourth place the day after in the pros, and he was only like mid-20s. And I remember the hype, and we're all excited about him. And then he bloody went and switched to classic. And I was like, well, first of all, I don't think he's like Josema did, and I think, and Josema obviously did really, really well, and that's why he's staying in classic. But this was one of those guys I just thought, well, why? Because firstly, he's got too much muscle in his legs to be a good classic, because all the weight that he has because of the cap is all in his lower body. And unless he just stops training his legs, he's not going to look good as a classic. He's just going to look like a classic with big legs and kind of a stringy upper body, because, now you're seeing what his upper body looks like with no restrictions. But as a classic, I thought it was a complete waste of time. And the thing is, he didn't even do that well as a classic. You could think if it's Joe Sema, winning lots of classic shows and making top 5, top 6 at Olympia, you can see why it's worth it for him. But someone like Florian, I think he's like I said, it looks like Dennis Wolf and Dorian Yates have had a love child.
Yeah, so like I said, maybe in an hour, 2 hours, I'll look at the list again, and they're both. I would love to see both of their names on it, because this is our last show of the year. Florian, you just took second place to Clarida, a 2-time Olympian.
He beat Pradell. I mean, he beat bloody Pradell. I mean, that was like I said to you before, I said, good job we mentioned Florian, because he was someone I said on the list. I said, we've got to talk about this guy. I said, because if he starts to hit his stride, this is a guy that's he's kind of been disappointing, because I could see how good this guy was back in 2018. And like I said, it's been a year after, he's gone to Classic. He's doing this. And for me, it was just disappointment after disappointment. And I was getting to the point where I'll never give up on these guys, but I was thinking, mate, is this ever going to happen for you? So to see him get second, and, the unexpectedness of beating kind of like one of the hottest new names and one of the biggest talking points, it's kind of like Pradell is kind of the talking point what Urs was a few months ago when he switched from Classic to Open, and everyone was talking about Urs, and he won the 2 shows, and I felt like it switched to Pradell. But now, Florian's just come in, swooped in, and beaten Pradell. I mean, that's a feather in his cap as it is, because he's just beaten, the guy that we thought would be battling with Shaun for first, but he squeezed right in there. And he caused an upset there, but I mean, could he have beaten Clarida? I don't think anyone would have really complained.
Well, when I looked at the score sheet, Shaun did not win the judging with a perfect score.
There you go.
So Florian must have gotten at least one first place vote, because it wasn't 3-3; it was 4-3.
I saw that,
Shaun. So,
and he's young as well. I mean, he's what is he? Late 20s?
Has to be. I'm just guessing. People are going to
and also, by looking at this, he's brought the backup, because that for me was the one weakness he had that he really needed to bring up. And it's funny, because he said that when he switched to Classic, he said, because Patrick Tour used to coach him, and I said, why is he switching to Classic? And he said he just doesn't want to be the work and what it takes to get to 300 pounds in the off season. He said he doesn't, for his health, he's a young guy. He doesn't want to be, like huffing and puffing and doing what it takes to be 300 pounds. He said he feels better, like an off-season Classic guy doesn't have to be 300 pounds. I mean, it's just unnecessary. Right. So, some of these guys as Classics, they just, they have a different approach to open bodybuilders. Open bodybuilders tend to go up in body weight. They might put 40, 50 pounds on, go from 250 contest to 300 off-season. Whereas the Classic guys, they sometimes their body weight drops, if anything, and then usually they'll just jump on a cycle or do whatever they need to do, and then they just cruise into an open show. The body composition changes, changes, but the body weight doesn't necessarily change. So that's why open guys and Classic guys do prep differently, and that's why they say that one is a slightly healthier approach than the other, because it's not as demanding.
Yeah, I mean, Bumstead competed around 242, I think, 244, and he never got it. I don't think I ever saw him get over 260 in the off season.
Yeah, and that's with body fat. So, so he's obviously losing muscle. So he's obviously growing into the show. I mean, he's talked about it, and he says, like, off season, I do 500 mega test, and that would be it. That's all I'd use in the off season, and then pre-contest, whilst keeping an eye on the scale. The body composition. My body weight used to change. That's why I did Classic my last year. My body weight would sort of just literally just do that. It would never be no, sort of peaks and troughs, because you don't want it to. Because at the end of the day, you don't. You want to be able to control and predict what your body weight's going to be. Because if you've got a weight limit to make.
All right, well, I realize we've been speaking about 2 guys who aren't in the show, as far as we know. So, what an awful preview.
That would be the top 2, though. That's. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, they would. I mean, because I'm starting off with Mark Hector, who just took 5th place at the Japan Pro. Here's his routine from there, and it's very darkly lit, as you can see. We're going to talk about that. This guy in Japan needs to bring in some lighting technicians or something. I don't know. But, Mark looked really good, but not good enough. I had him as one of the favorites to win that show, although beating Clarida would have been a real stretch. But I thought he would be the one to push him the hardest. Thoughts on Mark? Because what does Mark still need to do here?
I mean, I know we're going to talk about it later, but the lighting's so bad. I can't tell you whether he's better than the other shows he's done, whether he's worse. Because if I really squint here, yes, he looks absolutely fantastic. He looks detailed. He looks dry. He doesn't look flat. The waistline, the midsection looks nice and tight. So I mean, looking at the lights have literally gone off there. I mean, how are we supposed to sort of critique these guys and talk about how we compared to other shows when You literally can't. It's very difficult to see. So I'd love to be able to say, no, working with Patrick this first time out, he's absolutely 10% better than he was, and he delivered the package that we all wanted him to deliver. Working with this new coach, etc., etc. But to me, mate, I can't tell. I mean, I saw some progress videos where it looked like his glutes and his hams were a little bit tighter than they maybe normally were. Because Mark really took a level up when he was working with Cuba Keelan, I don't know how you say his last name. But they made some really good progress together. And I was curious to see what working with Patrick Tuur would bring as well, because obviously, Patrick's a very good friend of mine and Patrick's a very top coach. And I was surprised, actually. I said this in the last episode. I was very surprised that Mark jumped into a show so soon after working with a new coach. I thought, and also really to be able to see what the difference is and what differences he made to his physique with training and nutrition and and those peak week and everything else. I was interested to see how different he would look in terms of his physique. So yeah, I was it's different, but like I said, it's very, very difficult to say because we can't see shit.
Well, I mean, we're telling it like it is. That's all we know how to do.
True.
All right, so another guy from right there in Spain. So he knows you're in Spain. Just do the damn Spain show. Pablo Lopez Munoz. Yeah, that's the. So here's his Poland. I should say he was third place here in Poland.
Yeah, he did well.
And he was fourth at the British Grand Prix. So he's had a pretty good season so far.
His best yet.
And if you're an open pro from Spain, you should be in the show. So he's doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. Joan, come on, man, get with the program. But Pablo has a really good look to him as well. I like those cross striations and the triceps right there.
I've not seen this actual little bit of footage, but I mean, obviously like I said, we can tell here, we can see what's going on because the lighting's good, and also the quality of the filming quality is very, very good resolution as well. So it's we can see there that he peaked really well. This is his best season yet, and he's kind of living up to the potential that I thought he had a few years ago. Like I said, I hyped him a few years ago. I put him in my MD column. I think he was 8th in one of the Spain shows. It might have been the M-Pro or the NPC European. And I was like, keep an eye out for this guy because I liked his quads are fantastic. He's got his big, thick delts. I like his shoulder. He's got the nice wide clavicles and the nice, tight kind of men's physique type midsection. So for me, he was ticking a lot of boxes a few years ago. And then he wasn't really getting better. He wasn't really getting any worse, but he was kind of just stagnant. And now, with 2 top 5 placings and clearly making big improvements to his physique, it looks like he's moving up. So I'm really happy. I've been communicating with him a little bit as well. And it's nice to see guys. And also, isn't it nice to see guys when they improve, but also they keep that midsection nice and tight, because he had a good midsection a couple of years ago. And, a lot of guys, they do get bigger, but then the midsection goes. So it's nice to see someone that's whether he's consciously paying attention to it or not, it's just nice to see that he's managed to improve and keep it tight. Because look at, all the serratus and the intercostals there and the obliques are nice and tight. So it just sets his physique off really nicely, I think. Yeah,
this was last year's big man. Yeah, I'm wondering why Akeem didn't do this show too. Now that I think
shit. Well, he's won it, hasn't he? He won it before.
He won it last year. He's the defending champion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wonder. Do you know what? That's a really good question. I wonder why. Was Akeem maybe just? The thing is, I don't know how each of these guys think. Do they just go at one show at a time and then play it by ear, or do they plan out? I can't imagine, like, say, Sasan planned all 6 of his shows. Mm. Maybe they have I'd be interested to know. This is why it was good when I was doing global, because I get to speak to these guys regularly, and you'd get to hear their week by week. Sometimes I get them on twice in a season just to see, like, catching them at the airport for 15-20 minutes and just say, look, what was your thinking on this one? Because like Akeem, like, he got not a very good placing in the last show. It was Poland, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe he just thought, you know what, sod this, I'm shutting it down. I'm gonna go back to the drawing board and come back next year. But then again, like, if he'd have known that the lineup was going to be like this, he could have if he'd have just kept going, he would have swooped in and probably got a win here as well. And a qualification. Exactly.
Well, good luck, Pablo. Let's move it on to Italy's
really good.
Roberto Buonomo. I've spelled his name wrong a couple times. Roberto was 3rd at the Tsunami France Pro Show.
Yep.
Here's his most recent update. So now we have really really good open pros from Italy. We got the two Andreas.
Look at his hams. Look at his ham. Look, go back, Ron. Can you go back? Can you go back?
Oh, I can't. It'll come back to it.
His hams were like literally, they were like coming out like it was like a bloody like a rainbow arc. Like it was.
That's what Andrew Jack needs. If Andrew has that, he's Mr. Olympia without question, as far as
I think he does now. Hang on. Somebody else said this the other day, and I was actually underneath a video of where you could see where his hamstrings had. Like, I don't think they're a weakness anymore. I think I think people get so used to picking on certain areas, like say if Crizzo brought his glutes up, people would still keep saying, "Oh, he's got no glutes. He's got no glutes." They kind of repeat it. It's
Oh, I agree. No, I don't want to be guilty of doing that.
People just parrot it, and I think sometimes you actually, if you look at him and say, well, actually, if you actually look now, he actually has brought those areas up.
Definitely.
So, but I think, sorry, you carry on.
No, I was going to say, Andrew, just because I don't want to sound like I'm trashing Andrew. His hams are better. They have gotten better. I still want them. If they're a little better than they are now, he beats Hadi, he beats Derek, he beats anyone who stands next to him. Samson.
Whatever. Well, he's beating everyone next year, so get used to it. Get used to the idea.
You know, I'm a leg. Look at the leg. Look at the quads on this guy. I'm a big snob when it comes to quads.
We're going to have our sort of yearly review coming up in a couple of weeks, Ron. I think we need to. I think we need to remember this guy as one of the most improved pros of the year because, like, he was. I mean, I've seen him compete loads of times. I think we've talked about him before, and you were talking about it as if he was a new guy, and I'm like, well, actually, he did 6 shows last year, but he was kind of, I mean, like an 8th to 10th, 8th to 12th kind of level guy, but he was doing all the European shows, but he's competed many, many times. And I think you just get used to seeing someone ticking along as like oh, this is okay, this guy's guaranteed to be in the second call out, probably mid-range to the bottom end. They're consistently holding that second call out position. But here's a guy that's it's really jumped up to first call out. And I think I think it's because if anything, I think he's probably come in lighter because he looks, he's a guy that his physique is transformed, but it doesn't look any bigger to me, but he looks a lot better. So I think that's to do, that's why it's good to have a good coach like a Patrick Tour, because Patrick will say, look, bigger is not always better, because some coaches, they just want to be, okay, let's get 20 pound on you, then we can show off about how much muscle I've put on you, when it's probably just bloat and, and just it's just not actual properly quality size. But a good coach will say, right, okay, then we need to bring the waist in, we need to drop 10, 15 pounds. Like a good coach now, if like say they're prepping Nick Walker, would say to him, look, mate, to get you better, you don't have to go up on the scale, you need to come down on the scale, and we need to focus on the waistline. So, and I think someone like a Robert and a Patrick, this is why choosing a good coach like Robert has really worked for him.
I mean, Patrick, most people in the industry do know who he is, but there's a lot of the fans who his name isn't as big to them as like a Hani Rambod or a Chris Aceto, but Patrick's very, very consistent with these clients. I don't see too many of them ever coming in off. So Roberto's in very good hands.
Maybe that's what actually separates the many, many good coaches from the very, very few amazing coaches, because most coaches will just be concerned upon bragging about how much muscle and how much inches on their arms, or how much, oh, look, I brought my guy at 285. He was 255 2 years ago, but their kind of physique looks a bit of a mess. So it shows you that he really knows what he's talking about, because we've seen it where, funny enough, Bob Chick was talking about Jay Cutler in 2009 remember the 2009, the foot stomp year when he came back, he just looked like a completely different bodybuilder, looked like a completely different physique. And it's funny because he was actually lighter than he was in 2008. And that always blows my mind, because the people always assume bigger is better. So it's not always the case. But Robert, I think there's an argument for one of the most improved, certainly in Europe, of 2025.
Yeah, I would have gone with like Joe Palacios. We got to have a lot of thinking to do about that one.
Damien.
I mean, Jordan Hutchinson looked really good as well this year from last year.
Yeah, but hang on, there's most improved, and then there's the breakout star, because Joe Palacios, as we know, competed last year, but he didn't even register. I don't think I even saw pictures of him because he wasn't good enough to even make it onto these Instagram feeds and have people talking about him. So some of these guys, like I said, we're talking about, the Florians and the Roberts as like new guys, when actually they've been competing. We were talking about, last episode I was talking about Joan Pradels, and I was saying, well, hang on a minute, he's been around for years. He was in the M Pro last year, but it didn't register because he wasn't kind of good enough at that point to register. Now it's the first thing we think about when we think about the new guys and the big shows.
Here's the new guy, Andrew Jack. Now I'm looking at Damian Couple from Poland, and Damian was 5th place at the Poland show. So representing his people. My very late grandfather, he died like in the 50s. He was from Warsaw, Poland. So got a little bit of connection to this guy.
You've got about 100 different nationalities in you, haven't you? You had your DNA checks.
If we're gonna really be strict about it, Dad's family was from England, Wales, whatever, many years ago. Grandmother was from what is now Ukraine. At that time, I don't know if it was Ukraine. Talk about she left like in 1910, and he was from Poland. So yeah, but Damian Couple, never heard of him until this year. Here's with that Bumstead character.
Mate, I think Damian is one of my most excited. I said this to him yesterday actually on Instagram, and he thanked me. And I said, I think you're one of the. I think along with Joe Palacios, they're one of the biggest breakout stars of the year, because I was obviously in Prague, and I'm kind of when Lauren was on with AJ or whatever, I was taking a break, or it was in between categories, and because that the next category and the next 2 or 3 categories we're getting ready backstage. I like to sometimes just pop the headphones off, or grab a coffee, and I just have a wander around backstage to see what's going on, to get ahead of it. Like I always do that with the amateurs when I'm in Sweden. I always go back and have a look round, and and then I get the headphones on, and I get people hyped up. So I've just seen the heavyweights guys. There's 12 guys, and they all look amazing. But this guy, it was this one and the other guy with the massive arms. I forgot his name now. But I saw him backstage, and I was like, because he's, I hope you can. It's difficult to see even in this video on stage, just to sort of see how big he was, because he's like a one. I think you're like anything over like 120 kilos, like 264. Is absolutely shocking when you get somebody this big. But we've seen all the 120 kilo guys. We've seen their dime a dozen. But when they're in this kind of condition, when they've got, because I was looking at his physique and I was thinking, shit, he's not missing anything. And I was like, he was walking around, I think he was eating a rice cake or something, and getting tanned up. And you could just see, like, even when they're just eating something, and you see the forearms and the fibers, and you're thinking, because it's quite dark backstage sometimes, and I was thinking, this guy is big. He's conditioned, because you're always looking for the new guys that you've not seen. You go, oh, there's Joan Pradels, there's Samson, there's Crizzo. And then you look over and you see these new guys, and you're like, holy shit, who's this guy? So when I got, and the thing is, his physique did translate, because when he got on stage, like he was hitting, because apparently AJ told me he used to be in Classic.
Wow.
So you got a guy like 120, 125 kilo plus with aesthetics that was Classic. So they're going to be able to pose. They're going to be bringing good condition. Like that Matthias Holweck, they've got that. They bring, even though they're only fresh out the Classic, there's still a lot of Classic in them. So Damian for me is one of the. I'd love to see him win this. Actually, I think he's because I think he would. I'd love to see him in the Olympia next year, basically. But really look at him. Look at the detail. You don't see that on guys anything over 110, 115 kilo. Guys this size with that level of aesthetics, detail, conditioning, separation, quality. He's got nice balance. His posing was good. This guy ticks all the boxes.
He must be at least as tall as Andrew, because in that picture he was standing. He looked like he might have been a little bit forward, closer to the camera. But Andrew's 6'2". This guy's got to be around that height. He's got to be.
He's not missing anything, is he?
No, look at that.
Look at that. Really scrutinize this guy's physique. If you get all the boxes, and like I said, there's no. Like say even Andrew, like he's, there were bits of his legs that looked like they lacked a little bit of sharp detail and separation, and but his rear double bicep. If you watch the live stream, you just hear me just going, oh, like every time he'd be in the call out, and I knew because I'd seen him hit it a couple of times, I was like, guys, watch this. What, AJ, watch this. I said, watch this rear bicep. And he hit it. And then we were just going nuts. I mean, it must have been really hilarious to listen to our commentary, because it's just, I mean, look at that shot. I mean, he is one impressive specimen, this guy. I mean, he's, for me, he's like, he's what America did for Joe Palacios. This is what Europe's doing for the, the real breakout star of 2025. So I need to find out more about him, but I think if he gets the win, then obviously his profile is going to raise dramatically. And his side of his shoulders and that side chest, my God, and they're detailed as well. There's no crap in them. It's like, to be honest, it's actually hard to find a fault on him. So if this is just the start of more to come, then I think we might have another Gunter on our hands, mate.
Gunter Schlierkamp.
Yeah, I mean, it's not sort of unrealistic to think this is a guy that could maybe get into the top 10 Olympia next year. You don't know if he puts on another 5-10 kilos or something, or keeps improving and gets the qualification here. I mean, there's a guy that could be the newcomer that, because even if he wins here, no one's really going to be talking about him for the Olympia next year, because it's going to get forgotten about. So he's one of these guys that could go deep undercover and just show up and kind of do what Dorian did at the Night Champions in 1990,
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. And he wasn't on my radar at all. I mean, if you hadn't brought him up to my attention, I don't think I would have even mentioned him. Well, for this.
Honestly, I was so excited when I saw him backstage, and I was like, holy shit, who's that guy? Because there's him and the other guy with those legs weren't, I forget his name now. If I've got the list, I can remember him. But this was one of the guys that I was hoping that what I was seeing backstage, I thought, I hope it translates to the stage, because you've done it. I've done it loads of times when you see somebody backstage, somebody new, and then you go in the front, and then you get on stage, and their shape's all a bit funky and a bit weird, and they don't kind of flow. But this guy, he's, I think we've got another European superstar on our hands, mate.
Yeah, just the muscle quality alone. Like I said, I always want to see the striations, the separations, really nice and clear and deep. And this he's got all that.
He's got look at that rear bicep. I mean, look at him top to toe. I mean, he's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I hope he does. I hope to see a lot more. I hope to see. I just want to see more on this guy, because, like I said, we're always excited when you see new faces coming through. But he's one to watch, mate.
All right, last guy we'll talk about for the Bigman Weekend show in Alicante is Mohammed, and I don't know how to pronounce it, guys, so I'm sorry. It's Nsour, and Sour. I don't know, but he looks good. He's got a lot of muscle on him. He's a thick guy. He's living in Germany. Don't know much about him. But says he's been to the Olympia. I guess he's been to the Olympia before. I don't know if he had been maybe a 212 in the past.
No. He's been an open. He's won a pro show.
Okay, I did not know that. Thank you.
We've talked about him a few times, because he's been like in some, like, when we do the Power Hour, we're doing the show with previews. Like 2 or 3 years ago, he was one of those guys, like we get like Italy, and then you get all the 3 or 4 European pro shows on the trot. The ones that Nathan Diasha tries to come in and win all of them. He's one of the guys that rounds out the top 5. He's either in the top 3 or the top 5, and he's done well. He's got a nice physique, and and the thing is, he's done an Olympia, so that's always going to be a feather in his cap, and something that's going to separate him from many other guys, because it is pretty hard to qualify for the Olympia and the Open.
It says here's the Olympia stage, but I don't know if he was in the Open. I don't remember him in the Open Olympia.
Open, yeah, he was.
Was he? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So wish him the best. Yeah,
if you looked at some old previews or whatever, you'd maybe he looks different, or maybe just forgotten about him. Maybe just
my memory's off.
We get guys. Remember that guys in the Arnold Classic and stuff that would get the invite and they'd end up last place, but maybe they look fantastic. Remember that what was that Australian guy that died? The Australian guy. Who got last. Luke. No, another guy. He did the Olympia in 2003, and he got last place, which is no shame in the Olympia. Was it Grant? No, I forget his name now. But guys like that, they sort of somehow qualify for the Olympia, and they know that maybe they're not going to go in and make an impact, but they do it anyway. But it's something that it's something that separates you from 95% of all the other pro bodybuilders.
All right, let's move on to Shaun Clarida's achievement this past weekend. He won his second men's open pro show 4 years after he did it at the almost end of 2021 when he won the Legion Sports, beating Regan Grimes, Sergio Oliva Jr. This time, the lineup wasn't quite as had big names, but he beat Florian, he beat Johan, Jan Turek, Mark Hector at 178 pounds, giving up, probably close to 100 pounds in some cases to these guys. And now the question is, everyone wants to know, why can't he do both the Open and the 212 Olympia next year? He's qualified for both. Lee corrected me, Lee Priest, in a post or in a video when I was talking about it yesterday, because I said, well, the divisions need to be distinct. You can't have a woman doing both the figure Olympia and the physique. He said, but 212 and Open, that's the same thing. They're just bodybuilders. So that would probably be the one case where there was no blurring of the lines between divisions, because it's the same thing. It's just a lighter weight category for the same exact division, basically. You have lightweight bodybuilding and unlimited weight bodybuilding. And, what do you think would need to happen for Shaun to get that permission? Or do we need to put pressure? Do we need a petition? What do we need to do?
Look, I've been thinking about this, because if they can give a special invite, let's take, I know it's kind of different set of circumstances, but the fact is they do have discretion to give special invites, like they did with Derek Lunsford in 22. Yeah. I know he was the defending 2021 212 Olympia champion, and they let him do the Open because he wanted to switch to Open. The reasons are well documented. His body just wanted to grow. But this is a slightly different set of circumstances, that he's actually qualified for both, and he's actually actively tried to do an Open show and win it. I think as a one-off, I think just say let him do it. I mean, how often realistically is this ever going to be an occurrence anyway? But I was chatting to Shaun yesterday, actually, and the thing is, the problem is he's becoming a bit of a victim of his own success, because he's kind of, the better he does now as an Open, it kind of doesn't really help the case for why the 212 was created in the first place. Because the idea of the 202 and the 212, at the end of the day, we had guys like Lila Brada, Sean Ray, Thierry Pastel, guys like that in the 90s and the 80s that were second to the Olympia, winning pro shows, winning Arnold Classics. But when it got to about 1995, it was the year Lila Brada retired, and kind of Dorian was coming into his own, and NASA was supersizing, and all these guys were kind of getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It seemed that the shorter, lighter guys, not smaller, because pound for pound, I think Shaun Clarida is probably the same amount of thickness. If you actually do 10 pounds an inch, he's up there with Ronnie Coleman in terms of density. But the guys were kind of getting swallowed up in the Open, and they weren't getting looking. That's why the 202 was created in the first place. And obviously they was 210, then 202, then 212, and then it settled. But they weren't doing very, very well. So like I said, they created the class, and then it kind of gave those, it's like, say, Chris Bumstead. How well would he have done in Open if there was no Classic? How would Flex Lewis have done? Flex Lewis did those couple of 202 shows, Open shows as a 202 and 212. I was at both of them, the Mr. Europe and the Arnold's, and he got third in one, fourth in the other. But he wasn't winning, so he was a multi-Olympia champion. Well, he wasn't an Olympia champion by then, but it basically showed that, these guys need their kind of, there's a reason to justify why they should maybe have their own division for a chance to, let these superstars emerge. But then Clarida in 2021 then jumped into the Legion, won, and it kind of started to it started to justify maybe that the 212, wasn't really needed. So I think it's kind of it's good in some ways, but in other ways it's bad. What do you think, Ron? Do you think it's a separate issue about whether the 212 is even needed anymore? Because I think the 212 was stagnating for a few years, but now you've got guys like Niat, Lucas Garcia, Yinka, the guy from the UK that just won the pro show the other week, and now new talent does see Francisco Barrios. You've got new guys coming through, but And I think it looks like Clarida and Keon are going to be the top two for the foreseeable. But I mean, sorry, let's just go to the actual topic of. But personally, I think he should be allowed to do both. And then you'll see also how good a 212 is, because if it's in the same show, you'll see how good the best 212 is in the open. So there's no speculating. Because the thing is, sometimes the reasons the 212s do open shows is because they don't have the restriction, and then they can come in at their natural body weight, which is maybe 220.
Yeah.
You know, like if we'd have got to see the best version of Flex Lewis when he was peaking as a 212, we would have got to see the best version of Flex Lewis on stage, which we never got to see. But Clarida, whether he rolls out of bed as a 212 as an open, he's always going to be the same body weight on stage, because if he looks good, he looks good. And he's still 20, 30 pounds under the 212. So what's your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see an issue with letting him do both. I mean, maybe do that as a special invitation, even though he's already qualified. But yeah, they can do whatever they want. It's nothing set in stone. It would be exciting. I'd like to see Keon on that stage too, although Keon's not qualified. You could get a special invitation. But as far as, I guess it's all sort of tied together. The topic of should there even be a 212 division? I think there are only a very, very small amount of guys in 212 who are capable of holding their own and even potentially winning an open show. Shaun and Keon are two that come to mind, but most of the guys in 212 would be in big trouble if there was no 212 division. They would get lost in the open lineups just because they're shorter and lighter. They're just not as good. But I'd love to see Shaun do both next year. I mean, he has to choose, and that's really not fair, because obviously he's not gonna forego the 212 because he's a two-time 212 Olympia champ, and he was really pushing Keon hard this year. It's not like Keon kicked his ass, not by any means. So,
I think you've said it there. If Keon shouldn't be allowed to say, like, next year, say he says, right, I want to do the open and the 212 at the Olympia. But the fact is, Shaun has actually gone and done an open show to qualify. So, because we all know that Keon, he looked fantastic in Prague. And I mean, I got a telling off from Steve for even hinting that he deserved to be, compared with those top four guys. And, that's why I got the telling off, because I was like, justice for Keon. Why have they moved him? Because Steve was basically saying, no, you're basically fifth and no better, no worse. So that's why I was kind of making that case online, and I kind of got a bit of a telling off for it. But I think the fact that Shaun has actually tested himself and qualified, I really genuinely think he should have the opportunity to do this, and I think it would be a good talking point for the show. I think it's just a good. I think he's he's gone all the way to Japan. He's tested himself. He's thrown himself again into the lion's pit, and he's come out a champion. So I think he should be able to do both, mate. I really, really do. And I just don't see the downsides. I don't see any downsides, because I mean, what potential downsides are there on?
I mean, well, I guess you could say everybody that competes that could qualify for two different divisions should be able to do it. And then we might have women that could potentially win figure and physique shows in the same year, or fitness and fit. You know what I'm saying? It could start this whole argument that if you're qualified, you should be allowed to cross over. And maybe that would start to complicate things. But I don't know how big a problem that would be. I don't know how often that would really happen.
Yeah, but okay. So but if you we have the reason how we find out who the best is for each Olympia division is that we have contests with those divisions, so they can go and find out if they are the best. So if Jessica Reyes Padilla wants to go and do a women's physique, and she wins a women's physique show, and then she goes and does her quarter turns and puts her heels on, and then goes and does a figure show, if she wins that and qualifies there, I think she should be allowed to, because she's proven herself in the amateur. I mean, I've seen them. I don't think I've seen four, but I've seen competitors do 3 divisions. I've seen them do men's physique, classic, and bodybuilding. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, in some of the bikini and classic, you see them doing the novice, the junior, or the Masters, and then they do the Open. And I've seen some guys, and they'll be like, this is like 6th, 7th time on stage, and they're walking off. You see them at the auditorium, walking around with like 7 medals and 6 trophies on them. It's like, the thing is, so it's allowed in the amateurs, but I just think, and I mean, there was that also. Then I've seen it also where. At the Clarida's lats, it's just ridiculous. Now I've seen it where a girl won a pro card in figure and women's physique, and this was in a, it wasn't like a sort of show with no competitors in it, and she was just kind of she was just getting lucky. I mean, she was in tough competition, but it just shows you that there's sometimes the lines are not that clear, delineated. Is that the word? From between classes. I mean, sometimes they do blur. I mean, really, for me, a lot of figure girls are just women's physique that just aren't flexing.
Oh, figure and physique are almost the same thing these days.
Yeah, they're just one's relaxed and the other one's posing. It's like men's physique and classic. I mean, I forget the legs, but. Some of them, I mean, some of the guys, they hop back and forth in pro and amateur from doing men's physique and classic. I mean, what's his name? We see it loads of times. You did hop between, what's his name? What's his name? I forgot his name now. What's his name? The guy he's just gone back to men's physique or classic or something. He went back from open. The guy used to train with, what's the guy who won Olympia? Oh my God, my brain's gone dead. Oh my God, my brain's just shut down. Forget it. Let's move on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
So the next topic is terrible lighting. So this was the show in Japan. This is the amateur Olympia portion of it. But this is the same promoter that, look at that lighting. Oh my goodness. He's the same one that put on the Masters Olympia where everybody was complaining that the backdrop was so distracting. Let me see if I can find a picture from that. They had different backdrops, even at this last show. One of them that they use, it completely washes out the physiques. Actually, let me go to Masters Olympia. That's where I saw the pictures. So, people want to know why is there no standard for lighting, or how do we fix this? Because here's this backdrop here was very busy. It was taking away from being able to see the physiques. It just, you're at a show, especially at the Olympia name, where you do expect to see proper lighting. It shouldn't be lighting that you've seen better lighting at a local show. But that was the case at that show. The Two-Bro show back at the British Grand Prix. Goodness gracious. Let me go to that one. That was probably the worst lighting of any show this year I've seen, a pro show. And we're not shying away from critiquing them. But let's see if I can find the British Grand Prix lighting. Even they don't have much footage of it up there.
Oh, you're not blocked?
No, not yet. Give me a minute. Maybe they'll block me after this. But this was the British Grand Prix. You can see how dark it is there. It's almost like there's almost no extra lighting beyond the standard house lighting.
Oh.
And, this is a sport where we really need to see these physiques. We really need proper lighting, or else, we complain about bad live stream quality. But if the lighting in the first place is bad, it wouldn't even matter how good the actual camera quality and resolution was, because the lighting is not going to showcase the physique. So what do we do, Giles? I mean, there should be some standard, but I don't know how that would be enforced.
Look, I do sometimes do the commentary in Romania, and that's a beautiful venue, that Face Club in Bucharest. And you walk in, because at nighttime on both nights, the amateur and the pro, everyone has to be out by a certain time, because they pull all the chairs away, and then they basically flick a switch, and all the LED screens all around basically just all come off, and then it goes back to a nightclub. So it basically turns back into a nightclub both nights. So it's not, so they hire the venue, but it's only from, say, 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning till 10 at night. And then it becomes a nightclub for a few hours. And in the morning, they flick another switch and it all comes back. But so they don't, at bodybuilding shows, typically you'd have the roll-up banners. You have the banners on the screen. They have, like at the Sweden show, it's like they have all these huge gasp printed, like roll up sort of cloth banners and stuff. And there's a lot, and you see them, and it takes a while to get them taken down and put up, because sometimes, we're still talking to people on stage having our group photo, and they're starting to lower, the hydraulics for so they can pack it up and then and get out of there. But now we've got everything where press a button and, because obviously they must have like some sort of template. Okay, you can put your sponsors here, or you're telling the sponsors, okay, you'll be on this banner here, this flashing LED, so it gives any video, and that'll be up. That's your running ad. That'll be seen in the background when all the competitors are on stage, or the groups, or, the people are going to see when you walk in. But now it's changed because everything's electronic. But the problem is with these flashing screens, what the sponsors really want to be on, because they want to be visible, because everyone's pointing their phones and all the cameras are on that stage. They want to have presence, so that's basically something that the sponsors kind of insist on. It's something that they expect now. I don't know how they're going to manage it, how they're going to sort it at the Olympia, but now these screens, even in like the sort of smallest or cheaper venues, these LED screens are everywhere now.
Yeah,
it's just commonplace. It's if you go to the theater or you go to anywhere, like an auditorium, like it's just every single one. It's commonplace. They all have it. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how we fix this problem, because the lighting hasn't caught up, and unfortunately, some of these venues are not just venues that have bodybuilding shows more than 1 or 2 days a year. So how do you mitigate against that? Because, like I said, and I don't think they've got. I don't know what they need to do. Bring in some lighting experts to say, but how do you counteract what's going on? Also, when photographers are setting exposures and stuff on their cameras, it's going to adjust to what's going on at the backdrop. So that's why sometimes, if you were sat in the audience, I've been at these shows where you're watching it on your phone, the afterwards back in your hotel room, and you can't see anyone. It looks dark. It looks terrible. But when you're actually at the venue, sat in the audience, it looks fine. So it's also what the cameras pick up. Like you said it there. I had a bit of a disagreement with the promoter a few weeks ago, and I said, it was a I won't say the name of the promoter, but I said, this is really, really bad. And he says, no. He says, I said, this live stream is really bad. Is it the live stream or the camera or something? Oh, no, it was the camera quality. It's basically insinuating that it's I knew you were going to bring this up.
Yeah,
it was like, is it what the camera's picking up for the live stream, or is it actually the venue itself? I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
This is why Fuad with the Detroit show is really he's going to make a name for himself, because I had a bit of a disagreement last year with one of his team, because they said, this makes it the best show on the planet, and I'm like, what? Purely because it's got a black backdrop, but no, and I kind of, but afterwards I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, okay, that was a bit over the top, but you know what? He's kind of, I can see his point. I started to see his point more and more, because when the frustration of seeing show after show after show. We've seen like 3, 4, 5 on the trot now, and it's not been like this, like we're seeing here with Bonac. And the thing is, those videos and photos, this is timeless. This is stuff that's out there forever. And you might have won one show in your career. Like, say, imagine Shaun Clarida, that's the only show he ever wins, and then he looks back in his career in 20 years, and he's got this framed picture in his office, and it's just a silhouette. I don't think that it's really bad. So. All this Gilco footage from the Detroit show is beautiful, because you can see, like I can tell you now whether Bonac was in shape or not, because we can bloody see him.
Yeah. So
it's very frustrating. It must be very frustrating for the fans, for the, so I honestly, Ron, I don't know what the solution is, mate.
Yeah. And, you brought up a point with the sponsors. They pay a lot of money to have their signage, their logos up on the stage. I know in Fuad's case, they had it above the black backdrop, but some sponsors, that might not be good enough. They want it directly behind the athletes, so that every time there's a photo or a video posted from that, you have to see their logo, and they're getting the exposure that they're paying thousands and thousands of dollars for.
Yeah. So, the thing is, you can't wind it back. Without, because the thing is, like, say you got So you got like the Olympia, now they're getting pressure to put, they're competing with the Arnold. The Arnold's outdoing them 750,000 for the Open. And you've got all this pressure to bet more money. Oh, but okay, so you get more money for the Open. What about all the other divisions? And then the 212 guys are complaining, and the fans are complaining. And it's like, well, okay, then we have to bring in more money, more revenue. How do we do that, Dan? Oh, well, we've got to bring in more sponsors. Oh, well, also the competitors have been complaining about the fans have been complaining about the backdrop. So we're going to have to remove that so you're going to have to tell all those sponsors now that we're going to have to remove, we're going to go to a black background, and then the sponsors are not going to be over enthused. So they're going to pull their money. So you see, like when you look at it in a bigger scheme of things, it's tricky, mate. And to be honest, I wouldn't want the job of sorting that one out, mate. I really wouldn't.
But as far as the lighting, I guess if a promoter consistently has poor lighting, that's something that I guess the president, Jim Enya, would have to address with them, or Tyler, somebody very high up that could say, listen, if you do one more show with poor lighting, we're not going to give you a sanction because you're representing the pro league. This is an IPB pro league. This is an Olympia qualifier, and it's lit like I've seen local shows at high schools with better lighting than this.
Mate, I've seen. I've known promoters get proper tellings off and warnings from the pro league for not doing a live stream. Yeah. So, like stuff like that. I mean, it's like because did you know that after a show, say a head judge gets sent to an amateur show in Europe, he has to I'll talk about because we always have dinner with them after and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, I've got to go and do the report now. I said, what report? Because he's been judging all day for 2-3 days straight. Oh, I've got to go do a report for the head office now. We've got to do a report of, like a report for the of how the promoter is doing. So the head judge from America, that's why they send them. They send all these judges. So they have to do like a written report to say, okay, this was good. Anything that needs, there'll be a question saying like, anything that you feel that they can improve on. Because that's why they send these judges from America to all these different parts of the world, because they want to keep the standards up. And the thing is, standards of promotion, like you said, with lighting, with things like live streams, it's becoming, that's basically what the promoters are paying their sanction fees for, to make sure that certain standards are addressed. Because, the Pro League is very, very high in terms of, they want high standards because that's why they command these sanction fees, and that's why they will send at their own expense these judges. So I don't know, it's a tricky one. I wouldn't want the job of sorting that one out, to be honest. No,
when you bring up the sanction fees, are they really going to, unless this person is doing an absolutely terrible job and disgracing the pro league, are they really going to say, no, we're not going to take your money, keep all that money,
There's got to be a balance, Ron. There's got to be a balance. I mean, there has to be a point where, like certain things have happened at shows in the last couple of years, let's say, that you think, I sometimes wonder how some certain promoters are even still allowed to promote with some of the things that not only happen at their shows, but the standards of things like live stream, like lighting. Like you said, it should be maybe a 3-strike rule and you're out. Like if you get a strike, if you've had poor lighting at your show, you used a new venue, you were unprepared or whatever, or something happened, something went wrong. Okay, well, you've got 1 strike, but you've still got 2 strikes. You've got 2 chances to sort that out. But if you do it 2-3 times on the trot, then it just basically says to the pro league, look, you just don't give a shit, And then all the competitors and all the fans who are bombarding the head office with all the complaints of, and what are we paying our entry fees for, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Right. So it's in everyone's interest to keep standards high. So maybe the Pro League themselves actually needs to say, okay, we found a solution. We've got a certain, we've got pointers or maybe people that you can team up with. Like I say, like a promoter will have live stream companies that they work with. Yeah, they actually have. I've worked with them. I've worked with the producer. I've sat next to them while they're doing the switching, and they'll bring in professional companies to make sure that it's done properly. It's not something they do themselves, because they have to hire all that equipment and bring all the equipment in. So maybe it have to be the same for them for the lighting as well. But it's been. I've never seen it this bad actually. And the thing is, it's not something you ever saw really in the 90s, was it? Because I thought the lighting at all the shows in the 90s was was always pretty bloody good in my mind.
Yeah, I don't recall. I went to a good amount of shows in the 90s. I don't remember anything like that. But we do have so many more shows now and so many different promoters. I mean, we've talked about live stream. The quality can vary from that Gilco stuff we were just looking at, which was beautiful footage, multi-cameras, top-of-the-line equipment. And then we've seen at least one show this year that was it looked like just somebody's phone on a tripod that was streaming. That was the pay-per-view. It was behind the judges and the judges' heads and shoulders and the and the tripods from the photographers. The still photographers were blocking the lower 1/3 of the competitors' physiques. That was, I don't want to call them out, but that was the worst live stream of the year. Absolutely.
I'm just chatting to Andrew Jacked about literally last few days about a graphic for a tour we're doing. And I got some really nice high resolution shots of Andrew from Romania, from Jonathan Morio. And I sent him a couple of the mock-ups and he says, I love that picture, Giles. He says, but my physique kind of looked better at the Olympia. And I said, yeah, but the lighting's not as good. I says, I can probably get the images, but there's more to it than just how good your physique looks. I said, the lighting's perfect. It makes everything kind of look more 3D and more high quality. But who do you think's got the best lighting at the moment?
Oh boy. Oh, I mean, I like that black backdrop in Detroit, but that's
but that's a show with only 2 pro categories. I mean, I don't know how you can say it's the best show. I mean, it's a fantastic show, don't get me wrong, but you compare it against the Arnolds and Olympias and saying it's better than those. I think don't go overboard, guys,
Romania had really good lighting, I thought.
Yeah.
Prague,
when you're there is perfect, but on some of the videos and photos, like you said, when it came through on the live stream, I was getting DMs as I was doing it saying, the lighting's too dark. I'm like, what do you want me to do about it? I'm doing the bloody commentary. But I think they hope that you're going to go and let somebody know. And, like sometimes we'll get messages and AJ will say, Giles, I'm getting DMs or texts from people saying that your audio or my audio is too low. And like stuff like that's really, really helpful. But Prague was, when we were there, it was amazing, but
Texas.
It was very Texas. Yeah, Texas.
Yeah, Freddie and Sheila, they put on a great show overall. But yeah, they put the effort into the lighting for sure. The Texas show, that's lit better than most of the pro shows for sure.
But the thing is, they've actually, that shows you that they've actually put the effort in it, because it's not like one year it's great, the next year it's not. It's like consistently from when they started that show in 2021. The level of quality of the lighting has always been consistent. So it's not like, it's the venue's fault or we used a new venue or something like that, because I'd love to know what they actually did to make sure that they went in and because it can't be a coincidence that those promoters every single year, I mean, is it the same venue they've used every year?
Yeah, but I can tell you, because I remember the first time I went to it, I was talking to Freddie about promoting, and he did tell me at that time, he didn't just depend on the venue and what they had available. He brought in extra lights, and extra crew, because you can't always rely on whatever the venue has available. If you really want to make sure the lighting is outstanding, you bring in your own. You do the research. You bring in your own lights and a separate crew just to handle that. And he did that, and you see the result. It looked great.
I remember the Iron Man years. I mean, you used to go to them. The Mike Neville, remember the photographer for Iron Man magazine? The lighting was just, I mean, those shots of Phil Heath in 2008. I mean, I think sometimes some of those shots are more impressive of Phil Heath than when he was winning Olympia. And we know he wasn't as good a bodybuilder in 2008 because he was progressing. He was in a state of progression. Yeah. So, but Kevin Horton, you remember I was originally I was part of that British Grand Prix team in 2011. Oh, it was me, Zach, and Simon Fan, and then Zach tore his quad, and then I stepped away, and then it became Neil Hill, Simon Fan, and James Collier. So the 3 of them stepped in. Good job, because I lost a ton of money. So I lost 200 grand. I mean, I'd have been finished, so I'd have been screwed. So I was quite happy that worked out the way it did. And Kevin Horton rang me, and he said, "Look, Giles," he says, "if you want," he says, "I'll come over the day before, and I'll help you set the lighting up." Because it was in London. It was in London. He said, "I will help you. I will come over," and he says, "I'll help you." He says, "If you buy me dinner or something, or take me out for Nando's or something," he said, "I'll come over." So the offer was there, because he said, "If I get there the night before, I can make sure that the lighting is absolutely on point. So, but like you said, like if Freddie can spend the extra money and make sure, because you might get to a venue and the lighting might be amazing, you might just strike it lucky. But the thing is, why rely on? I think that's why a lot of promoters like to use the same venue, because they know what they're getting. Like the one in Sweden, that show has got bigger and bigger, and they've had to extend it. But they're literally bursting at the seams with that venue because it's the show is like a lot bigger. But but yeah. And what else? The like with Prague now. Their lighting's very good as well. I don't know what they do for extra lighting, but it looks like they've brought extra lighting in as well. Yeah. But I think it just comes down to the fact that some promoters really, really care and some not as much.
100%. I mean, the last thing I'll say about this, I used to go to the Ironman every year. I was in LA and I actually wrote for Ironman. It all tied together. Anyway, I would be there sometimes hours before the show started, and Mike Nevy was still making all these adjustments with the lights and light meters, and he had a crew of a few technicians that worked with him. He was just painstaking and meticulous getting that lighting perfect for those guys, and that's why 30 years later we're still talking about how great the lighting was at the Pro Ironman shows.
Do you remember they say it was like the greatest show on earth, the 1999 British Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Ronnie, Flex, they reckon that was Flex Wheeler 258. He put 10 pound on from the Olympia, and it all seemed to go to his muscle, not his conditioning. Kevin Navreau, Marcus Rawl, Nasser, Milos. It was just Ronnie, obviously. Yeah, I mean, it was just, and that lighting was just, I mean, I went to that venue 2000, 2001, and then they moved it to Wembley Conference Centre 2002, 3 and 4. And then the split happened and Kerry stopped promoting it. But when it was at the Apollo Theatre, because I went to a Jordan Peterson lecture there. It was my first outing after my heart surgery in 22.
Oh.
And I remember I recognize this venue. And then I saw the name and I was like, oh, this is where I came for the Grand Prix. And that was like that Night of Champions, 1990s overhead lighting. Yeah. Remember those shots of like Mohammed Benaziza and Dorian? Yeah. And I mean, those shots, like that was Dorian's first show. Imagine that the year he hit the ground running, and, because he said, if I don't make top 3, I'm not going to continue as a pro. And he got second, and he, and then obviously, history happened after that. But those iconic shots of like the whole name, the shadow, and then the overhead, the shadowy lighting. I mean, I think those photos really helped to establish his kind of mystique and his and basically what made him a legend. But the thing is, it shows you just how important, especially, I mean, I was a photographer for many years, and good lighting. When you're at a show with good lighting, you're going to get the best quality shots. There's nothing worse than going to a show and the lighting's terrible, and that when you get those photos back, or you go through and you start sifting through them, they're not going to be as, they're not going to be, that the bodybuilders aren't going to be looking as good as you wanted them to look. Is basically my point.
100%. All right, I think let's wrap it up.
It's getting dark here, no?
Yeah. Well, you're 5 hours ahead of me, right?
I put a comment and I said this show should be renamed the Bane Classic.
Bane from Batman?
Yeah, I was born in the dark, molded by it.
I didn't.
Not many people got that joke either.
No, I'm sure there's a lot of Batman fanatics out there. I'm just I'm a casual Batman fan, not like you.
What?
So
how can you be a casual Batman fan? What is wrong with you?
Well, I mean, I like the movies, but I'm not like, wow, I got to go see the new Batman movie. I'll wait for it. I'll wait a month or two.
You're a man with testosterone in your system. My God, what's wrong with you?
I don't know, man. Why don't I like sports? What's wrong with me?
I don't like sports.
You're not. See, people would say, "What's wrong with you, Giles? How can you not like sports?" So, guys, leave some comments there if you want to comment about Clarida being able to do both the 212 and the Mr. Olympia next year. If you want to speculate as to why Johan Pradels is not doing the Spain, or maybe you know him personally and he is. If you want to talk about the lighting, anything you have a comment about that we were talking about, drop a comment. Helps us with the algorithm. Leave there and follow us on the Instagram.
The algorithm.
Algorithm. Old people don't say Instagram. They say the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube. So Giles Tiger there, Giles_Tiger, and Ron Harris Muscle. Give us a follow. Like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. This has been Power Hour with the dynamic duo of Tiger and Ronster. And we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.